Boker Tov, Kaverim. We continue with our study of Heartfelt Haftarah, and today we are beginning a new series of Haftarot that are not connected directly to our Torah portion. Our Torah portion is Vaetchanan, which is the longest Torah portion in the entire set of divisions of the Parshiot, but that's really not relevant here for this reason, and that is that for the past 3 weeks, we have been doing what have been known as the 3 weeks of distress or the 3 weeks of straits, in which we are chastised by the prophets for our poor decision making that leads up to the destruction of Jerusalem. Today is Tisha B'Av, in which we commemorate the 2 times the temple has been destroyed, first by the Babylonians and second by the Romans 500 years later. But now that we are concluding Tisha B'Av, we enter into the 7 weeks of Nechemta, or of comfort, and that is that the Haftarot selected will be about how God, despite our differences, has not given up on us. And as far as tent peg business goes, this is a seminal moment because we're going to be reading Isaiah, but not just any Isaiah. We're going to start at Isaiah 40, and virtually all of the different haftarot we use for the next 7 weeks will come from Isaiah. As far as tent pegs go, realize that this is widely considered and has been for a surprisingly long period of time by many scholars to be a different Isaiah than the Isaiah that we know from the first 39 chapters. The reason for this, that we consider this Deutero Isaiah, second Isaiah, is that it is such a radical shift in rhetoric, style, and method of communication that it feels like someone different is writing this. Now, if someone gets to live for a very long time, especially an artist, it's not unusual to see them take radical shifts in their artistic expression. Everybody can look at Picasso from the beginning of his work to the end of his work and see radical change. Likewise, if I were to think of a literary figure, I would think of the Israeli author Shai Agnon, who started out writing in the very sort of Yiddish fabulistic storytelling, the kind of homey sort of things, and became kind of abstract and almost postmodern towards the end of his writing, and they're very different styles. So it is conceivably possible that the person we label Deutero Isaiah is in fact first Isaiah, possibly, but it seems unlikely, especially since from 40 on, this Isaiah is addressing the people coming back from exile. Now, realize that first Isaiah is writing even before the exile occurs. So we're talking over 100 years before. And for the same Isaiah to be offering observations, messages, etc., to the people 100 years later when they return from exile seems to be a bit of a stretch. So I should say more like 150 years. But in any case, this is Deutero Isaiah, and this is Isaiah 40. Now, if I were asked to name my favorite passages from the Hebrew Bible, from the Tanakh, I couldn't name one, but this would be among my top hits, right? Because in terms of lyricism, metaphor, rhetorical power. It's hard to compete with this. This is some really beautiful stuff going on here. Certainly very distinctive in its features compared to what went before. In particular, not only the lyricism, but often the use of a kind of rhetorical antiphony where there seem to be different voices speaking back and forth to each other in a kind of dialogue. There are a number of other aspects of it that definitely stand out as different, but also feel very powerful. Now, Isaiah 40 packs in an awful lot of stuff, and the oracle shifts metaphor and shifts focus a number of times, but it's a kind of a best of in terms of what it's saying and how it's saying it. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and read you the entire Haftarah. Maybe I'll interrupt occasionally just to make an observation, but I think this is worth hearing, and some of it will feel quite familiar because this passage has been used in different ways and reused in different Jewish contexts, from the high holidays to funerals and other aspects like that, other aspects of the Jewish experience. So let me begin by with the beginning of verse 1, chapter 40. We're going to go on 26 verses, and it starts out so powerfully with the cry, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. That is, comfort, comfort my people. In other words, God is now going to offer us reassurance after all the disasters that have struck us. Comfort, comfort my people, comfort them, says my God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem. Say to her that she has served her term, that her sin is pardoned. For she has received from the hand of the Eternal more than enough punishment for her sins. A voice calls, prepare a road for the Eternal through the wilderness. Clear a highway in the desert for our God. I mean, literally, the people are coming back across the Fertile Crescent and they're on their way. Every valley shall be exalted, every mountain and hill shall be laid low, the uneven ground shall be made level, the rough places a plain. Now, we love features, geographic features, valleys, mountains. They're beautiful, they're fun to explore, but they're difficult to get over. So it's not surprising that the ancients really preferred flat land, not only for farming, but also for travel. And so this vision of God laying low the mountains, raising up the valleys, clearing a path, making a highway is indicative of this idea that God is going to make our lives easier. The Eternal's presence shall be revealed, and united all shall see it. A voice rings out, announce, and another asks, what shall I announce? All flesh is grass, and all its grace like a flower of the field. Grass withers and flowers fade when God's breath blows upon them. Yes, the people are grass, the grass withers and flowers fade, but our God's word holds good forever. You've probably heard that at a funeral or two. Ascend a high mountain, O heralds of good tidings to Zion. Raise your voice with power, O heralds of good tidings to Jerusalem. Speak up without fear. Say to the cities of Judah, behold your God. Behold, the Eternal is coming in might, coming to rule with an outstretched arm, bringing divine reward and recompense from on high, like a shepherd tending a flock, gathering the lambs in his arms, carrying them gently, leading the ewes. Now we're going to shift metaphor. Who can measure the oceans in the palm of their hand, or gauge the sky with a span, or put all of earth's dust in a bushel? or weigh the mountains on a scale, the hills on a balance? Who can assess the mind of the eternal, or act as God's advisors? Whom has God consulted? For whom has God taken instruction to learn the path of right? Who has guided God in knowledge, teaching God the way of understanding? Why, the nations are but a drop in the bucket, no more than dust upon a scale. To God, whole islands are but fine dust. All Lebanon could not provide the fuel enough, nor all its beasts enough for burnt offerings. The nations are nothing before God, who considers them as less than nothing. To whom then can you liken God? What can you imagine that compares to God? An idol worker? Now, we're going to shift metaphors again. We're going to focus on how God makes us, but idolaters make their gods. An idol? A metal worker poured it, a smith plated it with gold and forged silver links. A gift, someone chooses mulberry, a wood that does not rot, and then finds a skillful woodworker to make an idol that won't fall down. Do you not know? Have you not heard? Were you not told from the beginning? Have you not grasped how the world began? It is God, enthroned beyond the horizon, to whom we all seem like grasshoppers. It is God who spreads the heaven like a curtain and stretches them like a tent to live in, bringing princes to naught, making earth's rulers as nothing. Scarcely are they planted, hardly sown, scarcely has their stems taken root on earth, when God blows on them and they wither, and the tempest carries them off like stubble. To whom then will you compare me? Who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high and see, who created these stars? The one who leads out their host by number, calling each by their name, by whose great might and vast power not a single one is missing. So this is a magnificent statement of the overarching sovereignty of God, one of the most exalted declarations to be found in the Hebrew Bible, something that extends beyond the idea of God being our deliverer, our caretaker, our divine father. This is a cosmic vision of God and puts everything on the human level, everything on the global level in a perspective. We are but dust and ashes before the genius and power of God. And do not fear the nations. They are like motes on a scale. They don't change anything. And this is the message of this beautiful passage to assure the Jewish people that God remains committed to them, and not any God, not a God you can imagine, but the God you can't even imagine in his grandeur is the God of Israel. So I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to go any deeper into it, but this now starts the weeks of consolation as we head into the high holidays. There are 7 of them, and we'll be touching on them again and again as we go forward from this point on. Well, delighted to be able to talk to you all, and we'll continue this conversation.